Welcome back, travelers, to episode 3 of the Book of Chaos. Today we're going to continue our exploration into the creatures of the unforgivable and fiery planet of Sheos. I have my book here today, and I have added in more creatures for us to look at. So let's get straight into it. If you haven't already, you can check out the beginning pages in episode 2 if you are curious. Otherwise, we'll get straight into it. Here are the newest creatures. Alright, let's start off with Bladeclips. Some of you may have already ran into a Bladeclips before, however, they are very, very rare. To start off, they have a 4 on the aggro scale and 3 IQ. Here you can see a size comparison. They are huge. Let's see what it says. These creatures are sparsely seen by the people of Sheos, and there's a reason for that. It is said that if you are to see this creature, it is too late for you. They almost exclusively fly at night, and they are perfect hunters. Once they see a creature that would be good prey, they fly to the perfect spot in the sky and dive down faster than anything else on Sheos to catch their prey. That is why Bladeclipses are rarely seen, because no one ever lives to tell the tale. And here you can see a picture. Now, I was lucky enough to find an experienced guide from the local village who brought me to the nesting ground of a Bladeclips. They do this because there are some different natural resources that form around Bladeclips nesting grounds that are able to provide them with a lot of money. But it is also a very risky business. I was able to catch a glimpse at one taking off, and that's how I have this picture. And that's also how I got the size comparison. However, most tourists and travelers to the world Sheos are not so lucky, and they are often prey to this beast. The next creature that I found on my travels to Sheos is M-Whale. Let's see what it says. For M-Whale, it has a aggro meter of 2, not too aggressive, and it has an IQ of 4. So it is a smart creature, but clearly it doesn't have much need to fight anything. Let's see what it says. Few species on the planet Sheos have evolved the ability to live inside the large oceans of lava. And I'm speaking more about the creatures that have actual flesh and bones. Creatures like Meltalon or, let's see, what is it? Magsprouts that are made of lava. Obviously, there are a lot of those creatures, so I'm speaking more creatures that actually have flesh. Anyways, let's continue. M-Whales are one of them. While it is impossible for M-Whales to breathe inside of the lava, they are able to hold their breath for upwards of 45 minutes. Additionally, because M-Whales are bound to the lava, that means they are not much of a threat. They often hunt very small organisms inside the lava and are rarely seen showing interest in humans. If you are to travel by boat on the lava ocean, the biggest danger M-Whales pose is splashing you with lava when they jump out of the ocean. The extremely tough, fire-resistant skin of M-Whales makes them a very sought-after creature. This has led them to be endangered, so only harvest and sell remains from dead M-Whales. Now, unfortunately, there is not much regulation for hunting of M-Whales, and so really there's not much we can do except hope that eventually they fight back. They are really magnificent creatures to see in person. What do we have next? Here we have the Bryclops. This is going to surprise some of you. Right off the bat, you can see the size comparison. That's what shocked me the most, is how big these creatures can get. It has an aggro meter of 3 and an IQ of 5. Let me show you why, though, it has an aggro meter of 3. Bryclopses are found all throughout the planet Sheos. The Bryclops species has one of the most diverse groups of creatures on the planet. These creatures can reach gargantuan heights, like the popular Eden, Protector of Fire, who is believed to be what keeps Sheos from running into the sun. Many Bryclopses in the wild are about the height of a 2-story building, and most travelers feel they should be scared of these beasts. However, while Bryclopses have one of the highest intelligences in the Chaos Galaxy, it does not mean they are highly aggressive. In fact, these creatures only attack to help other creatures that cannot defend themselves. Because of this, you should only be afraid of a Bryclops if you are getting ready to attack a creature in sight of a Bryclops. So, if you are curious to find one of these creatures in the wild, you can. Most of the time, there will be no reason to attack you. The only reason would be if you are to attack something that cannot fend for itself. So, that's the Bryclops. Now, I've talked about in the past that I found most of these names from local villages and the local people that have come up with names for the creatures. However, this one, they did not have a name set in stone. They, of course, had named this huge Bryclops Eden Protector of Fire, and it is really important to their traditions, keeping it from running into the sun, which obviously we know the planet won't actually run into the sun, but, you know, it's part of their beliefs. So I had to come up with my own name, and I chose Bryclops. Anyways, the last creature we're going to look at today is Crawlock. A Crawlock has an agrometer of 1 and an IQ of 2. Small creatures. These small creatures can be found squeezed between stones or inside of decaying burnt trees. They are omnivores that most often eat small insects around their territory. Crawlocks pose little threat on their own to travelers, but travelers should be aware of the fact that during mating season, Crawlocks gather in the hundreds in certain areas. This amount of Crawlocks makes them deadly for anyone unlucky enough to stumble onto them. If you look at the picture, this is an illustration to help show how hidden these creatures can be. This one's hidden between some stones, and this one's hidden inside a burnt tree. So there we go. Alright, that was episode 3. I still probably have about 2 to 3 more episodes before I finish filling this journal with the creatures from Sheos. However, I was limited on pages, so how it will work is I will finish adding Sheos creatures into this until I reach the limit. There will most likely be more that I am not able to add. Those will be added into a second journal, which I will start once I eventually finish filling it up with all these other planets and their creatures. So that is just a brief plan for me. Obviously, it'll take a while. It's not easy to travel around all these planets and record the information, but I think it is important. So, with that being said, thanks for watching this video. I hope that you are enjoying the Book of Chaos as much as I am, and drop down below any ideas you have for lore that I could include in the journal, or anything that you've seen interacting with these creatures. Yeah, anything like that I would love to see. But I will see you in the next one. Peace out.